As I squeezed in another weekend from my much-needed overtime from work, pushing the ever-so-heavy door to my South Brooklyn apartment, I collapsed on my little shoe bench and I let a sigh of exhaustion slip. When will I ever stop working? And it hit me. Damn, that's a really good video idea. You see, the 4-day work week is gaining a lot of traction these recent years. The mass migration from manual to digital labor in our century has shrunk the work week from 6 to 5 and now 4 days. Recently, not only companies but also schools are adopting the new 4x3 rule. And if the pattern keeps evolving, our species will work less and less, eventually reaching a point where AI will do all the jobs and humans will just hang around, worshipping screens and shoving food in their faces? Oh boy, buckle up for the next blank note rabbit hole on how a future generation of our species will refer to work as a concept of the past. As crushing as it might sound to my fellow millennials slowly coming to terms with the fact that they will never buy a house or pay the student debt ever, life today is better. It's true. In 1910, children under the age of 15 made up more than 18% of the nation's workforce. And we're not talking about making frappuccinos behind the counter. In the early 20th century, it was common for children, some as young as 4, to work in America's factories, mines, fields, canneries, and tenement sweatshops. Except for church day, every day was field day. In the midst of Industrial Revolution, it was very common for workers to clock in a 70-hour, 6-day week. In 1926, Henry Ford standardized on a 5-day work week, without reducing employees' pay. Hours worked stabilized at about 49 per week during the 1920s, and during the Great Depression, fell below 40. And that has been pretty much the standard full-time job for decades. Great minds like Benjamin Franklin, Karl Marx, British philosopher John Stuart Mill, and playwright George Bernard Shaw predicted that the hours per week will subsequently shrink. Economist John Maynard Keynes predicted in the 30s that technological advancements would bring the human work input to roughly 15 hours a week. And it's happening. In 2022, there was a 6-month 4x3 workweek trial among different companies in countries like Ireland, US, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, Spain, Scotland, and Belgium. How does it work? 4 8-hour workdays for a total of 32 to 36 hours per week. With the 100-80-100 model, 100% pay for 80% of the time in exchange for a commitment to maintain at least 100% productivity. The only matter up for discussion is which day do we sign as off. Some companies choose Friday, making it a long weekend. Some who took internet literally took Monday off the calendar. And others decided on Wednesday to make a pause in between. There's also companies which gave the employees the possibility to choose their own day. The last one is maybe the less popular, because while the one day off may result in employees' better social life, creativity, and overall well-being, it is better for companies to have it fixed for cost reduction. As Microsoft Japan reported after a 2019 trial where they granted employees paid leave on Friday, they reduced the cost of electricity by 23%. Also, sales per employee increased 40% during the last year's same period. In fact, the trials have resulted so successful that Prime Ministers Jacinda Ardern of New Zealand and Sanna Marin of Finland have each proposed a 4-day workweek as a consideration. Japanese and Belgian governments are already recommending companies to allow employees to opt for a 4-day work week. And as many US school districts are shifting to a 4-day week, the future becomes closer to the present. So there is a certain momentum. Slow, but present. And if you Google 3-day work week, you will see that the concept already exists, but is tightly connected to reducing electricity cost, which is controversial, because the number one resource, which will replace human labor, will primarily run on electricity. As jobs become more and more reliant on software, manual labor will eventually be replaced by AI. And AI taking our jobs isn't as bad as it sounds. I mean, think about it. If we can reach a point where roads will be paved, buildings will be built, and logistics will run all on software-controlled programs, with the human input Being solely supervisional, there will not be the need for humans to work, and maybe the work week will be reduced just to a couple of hours. Electricity will get a major update with the implementation of nuclear fusion. Energy will not be a problem. In the future, society will create a self-sufficient mechanism where robots will do all the work. As Elon and other futurists have predicted, taxing the AI will generate universal income for everybody. Free housing, free food, free medical services. Any other supplemental financial need will mostly rely on intellectual labor. The human species will be left with more time to spend with their loved ones and follow their hobbies and pursue artistic callings and humanitarian practices, which, in my opinion, should not be allowed to be replaced by AI. Ours will be an elevated species, left with the sole task of thinking. But if machines do everything for us, will there come a point where we become unnecessary?
Open the pod bay doors, please, Hal.
Very much possible. I do agree with the notion easy times create weak men, but evolution favors the most able. If AI ever comes to outsmart us all, then that is probably game over. But this is a totally different video. For now, we'll leave you with this simply put theory of a future world where cars will not only fly, but you will not even raise a finger to make it go. That's all for today's dose of modern-day Nostradamus. Catch you in the next one.